Hello, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and hopefully you can hear me. Let me know in the chat. This is the weekly affiliate marketing Q&A. I'll potentially tell some stories. I will answer questions. I don't have a set topic for today, which has been, well, it's been consistent the last few weeks here. Since the beginning of the year, I would say. The only sort of new thing I have to show off here is my WP Eagle t-shirt. So I won this a few weeks back from Alex, and yeah, he sent it over, which was nice. I didn't have any other gear from Alex, so much appreciated. Before we get into it, before we start answering questions, I suppose, or me telling stories, I should give a quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors. So one is Ezoic, which I have a hat here even that I should put on. They sent to me, so I'll just put it on for a minute. So Ezoic, you could check it out for your brand new site even. There's no page view limits. There's a link in the show notes here. You could check out their tool, Leap. It is free to use if you are monetizing or using Ezoic. So you can check that out and it'll help you get core web vitals. So thanks to Ezoic. Also thanks to Niche Website Builders. So they came back to sponsor the show. Got some cool projects coming up with them soon, which I'll talk more about later. So thanks to them. If you use my coupon codes, which you can get in the description here, you just follow that link, you'll be able to save 10% for any of the link building packages, or if you get a done for you site or a content package, you can get 10% additional content. And finally, Otis. So thanks to Otis, the source for premium and aged domains. I forgot to set up the Georgie cam. She is down here at my feet, hanging out. You can almost see her down there underneath the microphone. Yeah, she's right down there. She's just resting, so you let those sleeping dogs lie. All right, Chris is on, said the audio's good, and guys popped over from Alex's stream, which I initially had this scheduled to be 30 minutes earlier, and then I saw that Alex scheduled his, and I essentially try to ride his coattails. So I just moved mine 30 minutes later. Jason's on, what's happening? Okay, so what's new this week? Oh, Michelle's here too. Well, one cool thing is a case study that we kicked off. So I'm working with Ariel Phoenix, who usually hops on here. I'm sure many of the folks that watch this live see her in the chat. She has a YouTube channel. Her, I guess her website, she has a website too. So she has a blog and she has a YouTube channel, but we're working together for a case study. So she has several sites. She actually started like 7 sites in the past year and a half. And then she's gotten a little bit of success, which is cool. However, she's still in the early stages. So she's investing a lot, technically still running a deficit for the last, several months as she's investing. She's earning money, but not enough to cover her expenses. So definitely in the growth phase. And we're starting to, number one, have her focus on just one site instead of 7, which is bananas. I've never even had 7 sites all at the same time. And then we'll see how it goes. So we picked up sort of where the previous case study, which, well, it was a false start. It never even got going. But I interviewed Andra a few months back, maybe 2 months back. She dropped out, didn't have time to do what we needed to do. And then Ariel decided that maybe she wanted to have a go at it. Now, one thing I should point out here is a lot of people, actually several people sent me an email and said, hey, I want to work with you, which is fantastic. I want to work with people too. However, typically, and so far, I've only done coaching case studies with people that have enrolled in my courses. So from that, number one, probably the most important thing is they have skin in the game because they have invested money. They've literally paid money to do something. And that means they are probably going to follow through. One of the major issues with providing like free advice, or if I just brought somebody on to do like a case study and they had like literally no reason to follow through, they're probably not going to follow through. And you may be thinking, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, maybe you wouldn't, but the unfortunate thing is this is early in my like blogging career. I would get emails. People would say, hey, can you take a look at my site? Like, do you have any tips? Blah, blah, blah. I would sometimes spend, an hour writing an email, telling them stuff, or I would do a screen share, record a video, send it over, basically do free coaching for them. And then they would maybe say thanks, usually not too much, but maybe they would say thanks. Then a couple months later, they'd send me an email and ask for more help. I would follow up and ask how the previous help worked out, what results did they see? And they said, well, I didn't really do that. I did something else because I read some other blog, which then that showed me that it was a pure waste of time. And that happened again and again. So the moral of the story is I realized that people don't value free advice. Even if they fucking say they value free advice, they usually don't follow through, or they promptly like don't listen. So I've typically worked with students, and that has worked out pretty well. Plus, when you look at my business and you think, well, I see Doug doesn't push too many affiliate products. He has advertisers. He also has courses. You'll notice, well, gosh, it makes a lot of sense if I can showcase someone who's doing well, who has taken my course, and then talk to them again and again. And we don't talk about the course too often, but every now and then it is referenced. And then during testimonial times, well, that makes a lot of sense. So from a marketing standpoint, it works very well for me. I have a side thought too, which I'll come back to. So Jason's on, and Gaz says you're going to look into setting up Ezoic, but it's too early for you. You need a better click-through rate. And a couple people, Chris and Gaz, mentioned that they really enjoyed the conversation with Ariel, which I'm now perfecting saying her name, which is very cool. We got Mirsic91, what's up? Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. So a couple other things I want to point out just as I'm remembering to plug my stuff, as I usually forget. I do have a podcast, and there are long form interviews like I do on the channel, but there's also some interviews that don't show up on the channel as well, and some shows that I just don't publish. I don't do the video for. So if you are interested in that stuff, which you probably are, there's a ton of success stories out there. So check that out. And I have another podcast called Mile High Fi, where we talk about personal finance and financial independence. My podcast partner is Carl Jensen, and he blogs over at 1500 Days, and he's kind of like an old school financial independence blogger. And he knows a ton of people. And I know a few people, even here in the chat, you also listen to or watch the Mile High Fi stuff. And if you know very much about the financial independence community, or if you followed some podcasters and stuff like that, basically we're getting like the best fucking guest. It's ridiculous, the guests that we're getting, especially given that our show is under a year old. We have something like 50 episodes, but we've been able to get some of the biggest names, and it's crazy. I mean, it's basically because of Carl, and Carl's known a lot of these folks for 5, 8, 9 years since he got started in all this stuff. And I think he started his blog in maybe 2012, 2013, and he named it 1500 Days because he thought I could retire in about 1500 days, which he actually hit his goal ahead of time, and then I think kept working for about another year. But one cool thing, I didn't put a link to his blog, but if you go to 1500days.com, he actually publishes his net worth and where that money is allocated. So you can see he owns a bunch of Tesla stock, and he owns a bunch of index funds and blah, blah, blah. So you could actually track it. And when he started, he had less than $1 million. Now he has a lot more than that, and I won't spoil it for you, so you can go over there and check it out. sign up for his email list or whatever. And Gaz says, can we discuss a little about Google currently and people still having indexing issues? Yeah, sure. What do you have for us here? And actually, I will make a request from our live audience to talk about any indexing issues that you might observe. And please tell us, what the issue is. Also tell us how old your website is, how many articles you have, and how much traffic you're getting so we can get a baseline for where your site is. Now, for me, I have seen indexing issues for several years. As far as I know, there's always been some indexing kind of problem, especially, all right, I'll take it back. When I started, I'm not sure how quickly Google indexed stuff, but it seemed pretty damn fast. And we'd be able to launch sites and get traffic pretty quickly. Couple months. Lots of traffic. And I'm talking about probably from 2016 forward. That's when I've seen, you know what? It looks like some things are indexed and then they're not indexed, and then they're indexed again and then not indexed, and I don't know what's going on. And eventually it works itself out. So I never spend too much time on it. I recently launched a brand new site, in the last 2 years, we'll say. And there were indexing issues for the first several months. Say within the first 9 months, there were indexing issues. After about 9 or 10 months, things seemed to clear up. Posts, I can use the exact word, posts seemed to be indexed very quickly, and they would also get traffic. It seems like the more links, the more traffic that you're getting, the faster your site will index. Additionally, I have one other data point. Charlie, who I've interviewed a few times, he has, keep a lookout. I have a new interview coming out with him very soon, but he published 1,000 articles in 2021 on one single site. Average length of the content, about 1,000 words. Handful or longer, but typically about 1,000 words. So not really long form, very low search volume, very low competition keywords. As far as I could tell, and I'm pretty sure I asked him if he had any indexing issues at some point in time, it sounded like he doesn't have any indexing issues. It sounds like things get indexed pretty quickly, or at least because of the sheer volume, like he's been able to grow his traffic pretty quick. In fact, in December, I think I've already spilled the beans and mentioned how much he earned, but basically in December, in 1 month, he earned like essentially a full-time income just from that site. It was 1 year old at that point. So basically, I think the more you publish, the more traffic you're getting, the easier it gets. All right. So, and I think I said hello to Zach, but just to make sure. All right. If you have the opportunity to hit the thumbs up, it looks like we have 10. One of them is me. I remembered to do it today. So if you have the opportunity, would appreciate it. All right. Cameron, what's up? All right, Gaz says 39 articles, 2,000 impressions, 33 clicks, and 2 sales. All right. And I think maybe Gaz further says maybe it's a part of the sandbox and Google slowly index as it matures. Right. Okay. So number one, as I provided the example from Charlie or my site, Charlie and I published a shitload of content. I published a fraction of what Charlie did in the first year, but essentially we did a massive amount of work. Pretty massive amount of work. I'm trying to think how much content I have on mine. I think it's about 250 posts or something like that. So I think mine are a little bit longer form, but about 250 posts in 9 months or so. And then guys, so you've been doing 5 or 6 months and you have 39 articles. So I don't necessarily think there's any issue. And, it's part of the sandbox. You're in 5 to 6 months. So I think you're totally fine. And guys, we know you're patient and you're not getting in a rush and you're doing things the right way. So that's great. Work at your own pace. And when you do, and everyone can just remember when you hear these case studies, or not even case studies, these are just stories from people. When you see those, just remember that everyone's on a different timeline. We have different resources. We have different goals, what we're trying to do. And when Charlie publishes 1,000 articles, like he's putting a lot of money into it. He put like $25,000 into it roughly. Of course, the site's worth, far more than that if you look at the valuation, if you were just to sell it. And I'm pretty sure in another 6 months, like his revenue and traffic is going to skyrocket. Most of the content is not fully aged. So guys, keep on the path, keep moving forward, and work as, as fast as you can, but don't feel like you're doing something wrong because it's just going slower. You're working at a different pace, so you have to imagine that. All right. Let's see, back into it. And everyone, if you have data on indexing issues, feel free to pop it in. All right. Tiempo says, I would want to have a flat earth site, but algorithms would not support those search terms. Okay. So I would say think of outside the box. If you want to, I don't know how the algorithms will react specifically, but my suggestion would be to go to more social media type sites, go somewhere where it potentially can go viral and it doesn't rely on like Google algorithms. People are, I don't know. People are probably interested in that, but if the algorithms aren't going to support it, then you'll have to go elsewhere or come up with another idea. I would say, you could do whatever you want. And if you want to you could have a, podcast in that topic area, and maybe, that would be perfect for you. I don't know. I'm not sure. But then you don't have to rely on an algorithm to send you traffic. And I'm actually curious. Do the algorithms actually not favor sites that talk about flat earth stuff? Or, I wonder if there's a way around it. Susie, what's happening? You really enjoyed the Doug Show. You finished the episode with Shauna Newman. Lots of valuable info. Yeah, Shauna's awesome. Always good to have her on the show. And Adrian, thanks to our kind moderator, Adrian there. Really appreciate it. And he comments on the WP Eagle t-shirt. Got it pretty recently. Oh, Music with Flavor says, you love the content. Thank you. Thoughts on using Elementor page builder with Ezoic? Ezoic insists on transferring to something like Gutenberg, but I feel like this is a big undertaking. Sure, I would say don't use a page builder tool like Elementor. I hate page builders. To be fair, I've never used Elementor, but just in general, in principle, I'm just against them. And I never felt the need to play with them. And if you're thinking, hey, this is a big undertaking, well, you're probably right. That's why I hate page builders. So here you are in a situation where you use the tool and now they make it difficult for you to leave. Well, that sucks. One of the greatest things you could do with entrepreneurship or your life is to have options and flexibility for the future. That's some of the great things about working for yourself. You have flexibility to do things. When you use a page builder, number one, they're usually slower to use. There's a lot of things you can adjust that maybe you don't even need to adjust. But all that flexibility in design means you have to make decisions over and over again, which I don't like doing. But they also rope you in, and basically if you want to migrate away from Elementor or Thrive is my personal, that's the one I hate the most, just because I have personal experience with it. Basically, if it's hard to migrate, then it limits your options, and you're thinking here, it's kind of hard. Tell me, music with flavor, how much content do you have? The good part is with a migration like that, it will be easier in the future. You will probably be smarter to not use stuff like that. And further, I actually don't use Gutenberg either. I use the classic editor. I mean, essentially that's a WordPress page builder. I haven't looked at it in a while, so maybe they've cleaned it up, but I have a hunch not. All right, and God says it's on the hockey stick. You're looking forward to months 6 through 9. And I'm going to come back to some of these points here, guys, but all right. God says Gutenberg is great. You resisted at first, but you're getting into the reusable media blocks with related affiliate content to insert into an info-based article. So there you go. It's a great use case on why one might look at Gutenberg and use it effectively. All right. So I'm sure they all have their little hurdles. And I went down a rabbit hole. Luckily, I didn't go all the way in, but I poked my head in there for a second, and I looked at flat file systems where you just write like HTML, and you have like just no database, right? You just log in, and then you have files. And I mean, you could do SEO in the header. Like there's templates for everything, but it's all flat files. It's very simple, very straightforward, no bullshit in there, and it's so fast. There's a couple CMSs out there that are just flat file systems. A little bit more on the techie side, but one of the things that takes forever is just working within the WordPress dashboard, right, or the admin. Things take a little while to load. They have to hit the database, and then it loads, and blah, blah, blah. But if you're really just using a text file, it's so fast. So if you do have a technical background, maybe you're a developer or something like that, super straightforward. I mean, like I was very close. I was very close to just checking it out and installing it on like one domain to see what it was like. But of course, I mean, I think if I did that, I would probably just do it on a site that it was mostly about writing and just presenting the content. Okay, so Laughing Hyena, what's going on? And Susie asks, Thrive Themes, question mark. It was highly recommended by other channels. Susie, let me tell you a big secret. And everyone, you can all hear. Number one, I'm a bad affiliate for a lot of stuff. I'm in this luxurious position where I don't really care if I don't like promoting too many affiliate things just in general. But the reason why a lot of people promote Thrive is because they're affiliates and they get money when you sign up. So they're like, oh, it's great. You can do this and you can do that. And it has been a couple years, but this is a true story. I use the content builder or architect, I guess it's called, Thrive Architect. And I built a sales page. It was a pretty long sales page, and I needed to go in and change the price for something, and I needed to change the deadline and the dates in there. And I have no idea why, but it wouldn't let me do it. I would like try to backspace and get rid of the characters and then type it in. I couldn't do it. I couldn't type. I couldn't change 2 digits. It was absolutely insane. So at that point in time, I didn't have an active support subscription, but I thought I really need help to do this, so I'm going to pay for it. So I went and bought a support subscription, and then I went to the forum and put in my information. I said, I can't change the font. Something like 4 days went by, no reply at all, no no confirmation that it was received, nothing. Absolutely worst customer service I've ever experienced for a product like that. Especially immediately after I paid. I literally paid to get the support. And then I didn't get any support immediately. And then once they did reply back, they said, oh, you just uninstall all your other plugins, which is obviously a non-starter, right? That, like, you can't, it was a membership site. You can't turn off the membership, the membership plugin and call that a solution. So anyway, they essentially were unable to help out. And the turnaround time was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Anyway, I said, you guys got to give me a refund. This is crazy. And they were like, well, we can't really give you a refund. I'm like, you guys didn't even answer my question here. So they said, oh, all right, we'll give you a refund. And since then, I talk shit about Thrive themes. So I would say when people are recommending products, double check to see if they're an affiliate, because if they are, you maybe shouldn't trust what they're saying. That said, I'm an affiliate for some of the products that I mentioned here, but you can imagine that maybe I'm a little bit more of a straight shooter and don't care as much. I do have advertisers, which I love working with them, but I actually have worked with them for a long time. So Susie, just remember, when you see people talk about things in a wonderful way and they're affiliates, remember their incentives. The other thing is you could actually just search for like Thrive customer support. Pretty sure you're going to find people complaining about it. And technically, I'm still an affiliate for Thrive, although I haven't sold any of their stuff in a while. All right. Music with Flavor says you have 130 articles. So yes, that potentially could take a while. And that actually goes to my point. If you haven't done it yet, I would encourage you to implement things in the simplest way possible. The presentation of your content and the fanciness of it isn't as important as like communicating the content as easily as possible. I'm trying to get the microphone so it doesn't cover up the beautiful eagle here. All right. Adrian says, if you use ads and use a page builder on your website, it's like shooting your feet. Every external page builder adds bloatware. Just my opinion. Yeah. Page builders, stay away from them. Laughing Hyena says, is there a specific WordPress theme I'd suggest for affiliate sites? I'll shout out to WP Eagle and Popcorn. I haven't actually personally used that, but a lot of people seem happy with it. I don't even think I don't have an affiliate link. That's a good theme. I personally use the Thesis theme, which is called the Focus WordPress theme. I just like that one. All right. And Adrian, yes. Adrian says, I moved a couple sites from Thrive Architect to the WordPress Classic or Gutenberg, and it was the worst experience ever. I would never use a page builder for these kinds of sites. Yeah, there's essentially I can't think of a good reason to use a page builder. Someone let me know. All right. And Chris says, as a user experience designer, that's a deal breaker. Good Lord. And I'm not sure which comment you are talking about, but yeah, basically a lot of, yeah, I'm not going to complain anymore. Thanks for letting me vent. Dan says, you started a niche site using my method on a static website for speed and security. You have a tech background. Maybe we can run a case study as soon as the site gets some traction. Yeah, let me know. Let me know how it goes. What CMS did you use? Or are you using a CMS at all? Or are you literally just using HTML files in a web server? Oh, God says, we haven't had anyone ask for a good niche yet. Not yet. We're only halfway through, though. And Goss says you run popcorn. It's brilliant. Oh, yeah. Chris says the deal breaker was the customer service and the 4 days of wait time. It was wrong. And I'm trying to remember. I feel like it's been a little while. I think it's been, 3 years at this point, something like that. I feel like they may have replied back in the 4 days and said, it's going to take us longer to get an answer because we have so many other people asking questions. It's just a bad piece of software. And then they have bad customer service. So bad they were just like, fuck it. Just, we'll give you your money back. It's not a big deal. We know we're doing a bad job. They didn't say that specifically. That was my impression. Laughing Hyena says, are free WordPress themes any good? Some can be. I think I've heard Astra, the free version, is pretty good. You can use a just simple WordPress theme, like from WordPress, like WordPress 2022 or whatever. But there's also a bunch of themes by the parent company Automatic, and those tend to be, good enough as well. I don't necessarily think that WordPress themes or Automatic themes are not bloated. I think they maybe aren't as efficient as they could be, speaking as someone who has never looked at the code. But just knowing that WordPress does have its own form of bloat, it's probably not as bad as non-WordPress, non-Automatic. I think when you're using an Automatic theme or a WordPress theme, you end up at least with something secure, and hopefully they're using the best practices. I mean, they're created or at least managed by the WordPress team. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. Nice, Chris. Love it. And Dan says you're using a static website generator like Hugo or Jekyll. And the good part is you can remove a lot of the bloat that comes with a CMS. The bad part is you need to develop a pipeline for automatic deployment. Got it. Yeah, so there's a handful of free themes out there, and I think, those are fine. And generally, just as much as you can keep things simple, that's fantastic. Just keep it simple if you can. So before my voice gets too tired, I want to play a little message from one of our sponsors, Otis. And I know a couple people, maybe not today, but they've asked about the, what do you call it? Age domains, premium age domains, and that's what Otis is all about. So here's a quick message, and this helps me rest my voice for a minute. I'll be right back. Here's a word from our sponsor, Otis Global. That's ODYS, and they are the source for aged premium domains. The featured domain for today is puertocrypto.com. I wish I could roll my R's. I think it'd be fantastic. It would sound much better if I could roll my R's. As you can imagine, this domain is related to crypto. It is 5 years old, and this is what I believe to be a growing industry. I'm not going out on a limb by making that claim. And it's been around for a little while. I think it's generally focused in the Puerto Rico market. And we're going to take a quick look over at Ahrefs to see some of the metrics. First, we see the domain rating is 12. So it's not like super, super high, but we're going to take a look at some of the specific links as well, or specific referring domains. There are 86 referring domains, and 70 of those are to follow. And when we take a look, we see there were quite a few links right when they launched. That was early in 2018. And then when we have a look at the organic search, they initially got some traction, but it quickly tapered off. And, perhaps that's why they decided they didn't want to continue on with the site. And that's why it's now available over at Otis. So let's have a look at some of these referring domains. I have filtered by do follow. So we're just looking at the really important links, of course. We see NewYorkTimes.com, CNBC, PC Mag, a couple others that look like they may or may not be fantastic, but we also see CryptoSlate.com, Coin.dance, we see CoinMarketCal.com, and there's a lot of high-powered links. Even though the overall domain rating is lower than we might expect, I believe potentially it's because some of these links are, a little bit older. So my hunch is maybe these links showed up right when they launched because they got some good press coverage, they got good press releases and that sort of thing. But over time, because there hasn't been very many fresh links, the domain rating has suffered just a little bit. So when we hop over and look at the Wayback Machine, we can see it's actually a pretty cool looking site. Blockchain, crypto, ICOs, I guess that's the initial coin offering. And it's a conference showcasing the latest in blockchain and why Puerto Rico will likely become the epicenter of this multi-trillion-dollar market. And it was back in 2018, which I guess explains why they didn't need to continue on. Apparently, they didn't continue on with the conference. Otherwise, they would have kept this domain. But if you're interested in that space, or maybe you already have a site in that space, or you're interested, maybe you're obsessed with crypto or something like that, this one could be a very interesting one to take a look at. So thanks again to Otis. If you join using my affiliate link, you help support these live streams, which is cool, but you also can get $100 into your account. Because I'm an affiliate, I may get a commission if you buy something, which I greatly appreciate. Let's get back to the show. All right. Sometimes I try to wear the same exact clothes when I do those recorded spots, but sometimes I forget. And today I was like, I'm going to hop on Alex's live stream, That made me think I better wear his shirt that he sent to me. I won it in one of the contests there, which was cool, because I don't win anything. So I have another shirt. Tough part though, the background here is dark. And I try not to wear black t-shirts when I'm doing stuff in front of the camera, basically. And it's unfortunate because that was kind of my wardrobe, like a black V-neck t-shirts. I mean, I got a lot of other clothes too, but those are pretty consistent. And the nice part is when you're doing video, like you could just wear the same thing like over and over again. And that's kind of convenient to just wear the same thing and it always looks fine. But anyway, I wore the shirt today. Oh yeah, several people get something out of the session. So Chris says, thanks for all the content and interviews. Appreciate the information and access to the knowledgeable people, including myself. You're welcome. Thanks people for watching these. It's crazy, I don't have as many people hop on live currently. Yeah, like the last month or so, pretty consistently at like 20. Sometimes it'll jump a little more. There was a stretch where, there were like 50 to 70 people, and then maybe it's the wrong time of day. Maybe I push people away. Maybe people don't want to hear me complain. And that's smart if you know what you want. But anyway, I'm glad you folks hop on, and a shitload of people watch the replays. So Laughing Hyena likes these too. Oh yeah, you know what, Chris, this is great. So you get most of your questions answered from video or podcasts, or nothing technical for questions. You're wondering how the site sale is going. Yeah, so I am looking to sell one of my smaller sites. I should have mentioned that earlier. But yeah, I'm often looking to thin the herd. I don't have too many sites, but usually there's always more than half that I'm ignoring because there's other stuff that I'm working on. So I was like, there's this one site that I have, and I've talked about it before. It's a site that I bought at the end of 2019. In 2019, it made 1,600. In 2020, it made 2,500. In 2021, it made 4,000. And I've slowly done a little more work on it, and it's been earning. Like every time I put more time into it, it earns a little bit more, which is cool to just see the growth. So I am most likely going to send it over to someone that can grow it. I'm not going to use a broker. I'm just going to send out emails and work with people within my network. I believe there should be someone that it's a good fit for. I think if magically someone has a site in the niche already, I'll generically call it home electronics. If someone has a site in that area, it would probably do really well for their site, basically. So it would just, I may even contact the competitors to see if they wanted to buy it. So I've had a couple people interested. One person said, you know what, I'm not into that niche. Another couple people are thinking about it. So one thing that I've done, I don't have the link handy, but I don't have the link handy, but I posted over on Niche Site Project, so I could put the link in the chat here in a minute. But basically, I provide some information. I'm not giving the information out on the specific domain or the specific niche unless you send over proof of funds and a deposit, a refundable deposit. So basically, I don't want a lot of people to know about the site to protect the new owner. So a couple people are interested, and I haven't reached out to some of my friends who just may have some extra money laying around to do a quick case study or something like that. But okay. Next. The dark walls look like wings, which is on brand for a WP Eagle shirt. All right. Laughing Hyena says, it would be great if you create a video on how to write great content or articles for affiliate marketing. Cool. Yeah, you know what? One thing I need to do is, I was thinking about this, and then I'll go through the whole thought process. There's like 5 videos out there that I've done already. So you could search for it on the channel. However, one thing that I can do is redo them. I can just redo the video. Maybe there's a couple things that I think differently about now, but also a lot of my older videos are just talking head videos. You can actually find some live streams where I literally write content. I don't write like every single sentence, but I create the outline and then you just beef it up from there. So one of the struggles that I do have is I technically could, keep publishing videos on the same topics and grow the channel a little bit more. I am definitely more skilled in front of the camera in creating videos now than I was 5 years ago when some of these were done. So I could go back. It's not as exciting, and I have to think about sustainability and like what I want to do with my time. So that is part of the reason. That is a fantastic suggestion, Laughing Hyena, for me to put out a new video on that topic. Oh, Susie. Oh, goodness. Okay. So you feel silly now. That's okay. No, it means you're learning. Do I have any advice on how to migrate a site from Thrive? I signed up for their membership and now this. Any pointers are appreciated. Well, if you haven't used a lot of the rich formatting, you might be okay. If you used a lot of their if you used a lot of the content builder stuff, then you could have short codes and a small disaster on your hands. What I ended up doing was copying and pasting like the whole set of the sales page and anywhere I needed to migrate away. And then pasting it into like WordPress Classic, and then very slowly removing the editing or the formatting. Sorry, I would I would very slowly, methodically, one page view at a time, remove the formatting and all the bloat from Thrive. And as an example, I wish I wrote this down, but as an example, when I migrated that page, it went from, I'm going to make up the numbers, but it's the right scale, the right magnitude. The Thrive version was 2.5 megabytes, something like that. When I moved it over to just the straight WordPress editor with the same images and everything, it went down to like 100K. I mean, it was absolutely insane. Like there was so much bloat, and what it was it was like container inside container inside container again and again. Like the whole page was just fucked up. So once I removed all those div open and div closed and this container and the span and like all these formatting things, it was a pretty fast loading page, but under Thrive, it was horrible. So my number one piece of advice for migrating is just be patient and know it'll be one of the most frustrating things that you ever do. And once you get through it, you'll be wiser to never do that again. So just be patient. It's like running a marathon. You know, it's going to take a while. It's like training for and then running a marathon. It's going to take a long time. You're going to work your way into it. It'll be a great experience you could talk about later on the other side. Refat, another one of our most famous questions. Do I have opinions on AI writing? I haven't checked it out too much recently. When I looked at it before, it was pretty much garbage. And then I recently talked to Ariel. You should watch the interview, Refit. She talked about how she uses AI tools, and basically it's taking a more surgical approach. So instead of having the AI engine write a full long form post, you have it write 3 or 4 sentences max. Just keep it tight, and then you have a little bit more of a surgical control in what it's doing. That made sense to me. That made me think, oh, you know what, that could work. It could save you a little time. You could develop a process around it. I would say it's probably not viable to do long form at this point in time. And then I'm going to come back. This makes me think about Gauze in one of the points I was going to make earlier. I'm going to get through the chat here, and then I'm going to talk about it. Chris says, I'm interested to learn more and have the option to bypass the sandbox. She'll reach out via email. You know what? I don't know. Are we talking about the age domain stuff? I don't even remember what I was talking about, so let me know. Adrian says, do it manually. Susie, do this manually and post, or do it post by post in a staging area. Yeah, good idea. Next, Chris says, I only use Elementor to build my homepage and blog post table of contents. Okay, that could work. I have a question. Why do you need to use it to build your blog post table of contents? For just the homepage, I could buy that. I would also challenge you, right? When we have constraints, like not using a page builder for your homepage, maybe then you just have a simpler homepage. It's probably fine. Depends on what you're trying to do. I'm no designer though. Someone smart says, do I know about the crafty AI tool? I do not. And Laughing Hyena says, you um, you get questions about AI writing and best niche every week. It's hilarious. And people, in the chat and you're watching live, you can see when the chat message pops up and then it breaks me. I just laugh. I laugh every time. Oh, Chris says you'll email me about the site. Okay, got it. Doing these live streams is hilarious, especially watching the chat. I mean, it has to be so tough for Alex to go through any, like most of the time he's working or doing a thing, and it's really tough. I mean, my brain's, racing most of the time. I'm trying to think about the next thing to say. You don't want to have too much dead air. I'm also trying not to use a lot of filler words. It's a real struggle. I think I do a pretty good job, partially through doing all of these live streams. I also, one thing that I do is listen back to a lot of the podcasts that I do record. Not all of them, but I listen to a lot of my own content in the spirit of improving. So when you hear yourself say a dumb filler word all the time, it sticks. People are really excited about which WordPress themes. So, Telly, we mentioned Popcorn before. I'll give a shout out to Carbonate. That is a pretty straightforward, very fast theme. My friend Matt Giovanisi created that one. Popcorn, Alex and Phil, I think, worked on that one. I think Phil had a hand in that or developed the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know how it all works. And what are some other themes? WordPress 2012, that's one of my faves. Old school, solid though. Steve, what's happening? Good to see you, buddy. And I think it's time to move on to the little rant. So Gaz was talking about, being patient. He's published, I think, 39 articles, he said, in the span of 5 to 6 months. He's gotten a handful of impressions, a few sales, some clicks over to his website, and he's just really, slowly building things up. He's having a couple issues with the indexing, but, he's making progress over time. And someone asked about using AI writers, and there are some examples where people are using the AI writers, going after low competition keywords, and they're publishing 10,000 articles or something, and they're getting a huge amount of traffic in a short amount of time. I think, I'm not sure when Google is going to figure out that those aren't great pieces of content, but one theory that I've heard is that most likely the monetization methods, essentially the display ad companies, are going to pull the advertising, and it won't be a profitable way to do it because the content's garbage, essentially. So the point that I was going to make is, if you're thinking, hey, I want to use AI writers to do things faster, let's say you actually make that work for maybe, let's say, a year. Let's say you publish 2,000 articles, you're paying for one of the tools, you're publishing a lot of content, maybe you earn a lot of money, but something's going to happen, right? Best case scenario, a competitor will do competition research and then write better content that makes sense and outrank you. You may still get some traffic, you may still hold on to some rankings, but essentially you end up in a situation where you're publishing bad content, all because you wanted to do things a little bit faster or easier. Where Gaz, for example, is taking his time. Now, if you're looking at a 6-month timeline, you're thinking, this is too slow, this sucks. I'd much rather get there faster, earn money faster. Typically, that could, lead to some issues, especially if you're doing AI content. Now, Gaz, for example, sounds like he has a longer timeline in mind. So instead of thinking about 6 months or 9 months, what about like 5 years? Could you make better decisions if you're thinking about a 5-year timeline? Probably. And maybe you're not in as much of a hurry. And maybe you don't do anything around link building, but maybe you spend time networking. Maybe you go to like in-person events for the specific niche because you're interested in it. So over the course of 5 years, you may build relationships with people in the niche, people that own the companies that you're promoting, and you may have like a huge opportunity if you look at it that way and you're thinking about years, several years instead of 6 months or something like that. Justin says, opinion on B2B versus B2C affiliate marketing. You love the rebills and recurring commissions for B2B. Yeah, I think if it is fantastic if you could find the right ones. So I would say if you're able to, great. One tough part is it's potentially, not always, but potentially it will be more competitive. Other people like the reoccurring billing too. I was chatting with a friend who he's gunning after some very tough keywords for a software product that has it's multi-$100s per year, and they pay recurring every year. It's a pretty sticky product. Once people sign up, they usually stick with it as long as they're earning money. So it's competitive. I mean, he's spending a lot of time on it. It's a topic that I could actually write about and have experience with, and multiple tools, and I can really come at it from an informed perspective, but it's just too competitive that I don't really want to mess with it. So I would say if you could find them, go for it. I think it could be harder, but it could be worth it. Dan says, Georgie gets a bone for every like on the video. She's so tired. Yeah, I totally forgot to move the webcam down to be the Georgie cam. All right, couple more questions here. Yeah, Chris, so shoot me an email, and I'll keep a look out for that this afternoon. I'll probably go for a walk here while I'm out with Georgie. But if you just shoot me an email with proof of the funds, that will be cool. I'll go ahead and put the link for the specific page so everyone can get the information. What did I call that? There we go. Yeah, so everyone think about a longer timeline, and then you can make better decisions on things. You're not in such a hurry. It maybe forces you to just be patient. So that link goes to the page where there is more information about the site, some of the data. It is a fairly narrow niche. I think there is room to expand, not in a super huge way, but I would say there's a lot of capability to grow it. And if it happens to be a topic that you're interested in, it could be fantastic and a lot of fun. Some people definitely geek out. I'm not someone who is into it, but I know people that are deep in the weeds on it. All right. Chris says, I only used a couple widgets on the homepage. Mainly bought it for the table of contents widget, and you really like its features. Cool. That makes sense. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone that liked the video, this one. And if you're watching the replay, feel free to like it. Leave a comment as well. Another thing that I did, took me a couple weeks, but I got it together. There is a way for you to be notified. I should have mentioned this at the top. There's a link in the description There's a landing page. Basically, you can sign up for notifications for these live streams. I think there are maybe like 15 or 20 people that have signed up for the notifications. So I do hear from the people that say, YouTube didn't send me an email. I didn't know you were going live, blah, blah, blah. So eventually I created a tag on my email list. And even if you're already signed up for the list, you can go and sign up and it will tag you. And then I'll send out a notification. They're short. They say, hey, I'm going live at this time. See you there. That's it. I'm not spending any time on it. It's literally a notification. I don't have a set time yet. I may end up gravitating towards this Wednesday time period again. I'm not 100% sure. Tuesdays could be a little iffy sometimes. I'm not sure I would want to do 2 per week. I used to do 2 of these per week, but I think if I did that, I would need a co-host or something like that. I would need some partner to help fill the time. And not just Georgie. She's not helping out at all. She's like, don't talk about me. I don't think I can maybe I can get her in. Hold on. Georgie, what are you doing down there? Huh? Can we focus on her? There she is. Yeah, we were talking about you. Oh, getting out of the frame? All right. She wants to go for a walk. And if you notice this, this lens, it goes pretty wide. Zoom in a little bit here. Okay, got a couple. Oh, I'm sorry, girl. I didn't know you were right there. She's like, let's go for a walk. It's pretty nice out today. We are going to go for a walk. All right. Steve says, should you ever change a post title or concentrate on changing the content of a post that doesn't do well? You could change the title as well. And I would say if the post isn't doing well, you may as well change the title. There's no harm in that. It's you can do it on YouTube as well. Change the thumbnail, change the title, see what happens. There's no harm in that. You can make it a little more clickbaity, try to entice people. You can try to change up the keyword a little bit, maybe something that isn't as competitive. Next. Susie says, is it better to optimize old content or create a new piece? There's no right answer to that. So if it's I wish I had the Georgie cam active. She's just like leaning up against me. So if it's an old piece of content that used to get a lot of traffic and used to be very good, I have a hunch that improving it and getting more redeeming it will be more effective than publishing a new piece of content. However, if you have a new piece of content that is, really awesome, or maybe you're leading edge on it or something like that, maybe give it a shot. So there's no right answer. If you improve old content, it's usually a good thing. If it's a piece of content that never did well and you're trying to push a boulder uphill, that's less effective. But if it's something that used to do well, then maybe you're in pretty good shape. Chris says, Georgie doing site teardowns would be gold. Yeah, I need to figure out how to. And the webcam's right there. I can't move it easily. I need to put a little tripod down here so it's just under the desk and it always monitors her. I know, girl. Oh, you know what? She needs her lunch. She knows. And wisdom from Zach here says, B2B is good money, but you'll end up paying writers a lot more. Also, high authority sites fighting over low volume B2B keywords. Yep. And my friend that I was talking about, he's up against, huge sites. He's up against household name websites, and it's very competitive. He's doing a good job, but it's very competitive. And then the other, the side note, I mentioned that I'm qualified in that area, actually a lot more qualified than him. I think he hired a writer to do the content for that. But the fact is, like, I've actually used these pieces of software and I actually know about them, and like I could write a better piece of content because I've used them and I know what people are looking for versus like the generic content that, you know, someone reading their features page would write. All right. This has been great, everyone. I need a jet. Georgie's so hungry. I'm going to try to get the camera down here for a second. So maybe, hold on. It could be okay for me to move this because, hold on. She's like, what are you doing here? She's like, why are you doing that? Hold on, everyone. I did switch it over to the Georgie cam. Yep. She's like, please pet me. There we go. This is great. This is what the whole show should be. She'd love it. There's a new disco ball back there I'm going to be adding to the studio soon. Yeah, the light's pretty good on her, too. Oh, you're a good dog, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, she'll just sit here the whole time. I wonder how many, are a lot of people going to drop off, or are we going to get more people just because I'm petting her? She can do some tricks too. See if we get more likes this way. I think people are dropping off. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, everyone. You got niche website builders, we got content done for you sites. We got Otis, premium age domains, Ezoic, several products help you monetize your site. Helps Georgie get more biscuits and treats. Are you hungry for your lunch, girl? You hungry for your lunch? Yeah? You want your lunch? All right, we got a jet. More. Whoa, that's a crotch shot. I gotta remove that. Okay. It's getting creepy. All right, I'm out of here, everyone. We'll catch you on the next live stream. Be sure to sign up for the notifications if you are interested in that kind of thing. Thanks, everyone, for liking this one. A lot of people did like this particular video. So